Welcome to the Brain Alpha. Today, we're diving into the literal basement to millions true story of a troubled kid who totally transformed himself into an elite Navy SEAL and eventually a wildly successful content creator. Look, if you've ever felt stuck in a rut, paralyzed by overthinking, or like your life is just spinning completely out of control, well, you are exactly in the right place. We're going to break down the exact psychological framework that took one guy from absolute rock bottom to the absolute pinnacle of success. Now, with a massive 10.9 million YouTube subscribers, it's so easy to look at John Allen and assume, oh, he was just born with some special talent, or that he had everything handed to him. But actually, the truth is that the entire foundation of his empire was built during the darkest period of his life. He definitely wasn't a natural-born high achiever. He literally had to forcibly rewire his own brain to get there. So, here's our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The basement awakening. 2. Own your reality. 3. Face your inner demons. 4. Beyond the fear. 5. Action over perfection. And 6. Take your first step. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The basement awakening. Hitting rock bottom. Okay, picture this. You're young, you're completely lost, and your independence has just been totally stripped away. See, coming from a family of literal Pulitzer Prize winners and Harvard academics, John felt completely overshadowed. I mean, he was the classic black sheep. While his siblings were out there achieving incredible academic success, John was getting into fights and just acting out. And this all culminated in his freshman year of college, where he actually participated in a campus riot, smashing windows, causing total chaos. Facing imminent expulsion, his furious parents dragged him back home and banished him to their basement. Which brings us to Section 2, Own Your Reality, the first mindset shift. So sitting there alone in the dark, just simmering with anger at his parents and his whole situation, John suddenly had this massive, life-altering realization. At first, his mind was totally flooded with blame. He thought, it's my parents' fault for putting so much pressure on me. It's my environment. It's just bad luck. But spending days isolated down there, it forced him to take a really hard look in the mirror. He realized that every single bad choice he made is exactly what put him in that basement. The phrase, own it, became his ultimate anchor. He finally understood that skipping class, getting into fights, destroying property, those weren't things forced on him. He chose them. And the beauty of that realization is absolutely profound for all of us. If your choices got you into a mess, well, your choices can get you out. The exact moment you stop playing the victim is the moment you become the hero of your own story. And stepping into the driver's seat of his life built some massive momentum. He immediately set a goal to graduate college, and then he successfully conquered the most brutal military training in the world to become a Navy SEAL. I mean, he didn't just crawl out of the basement. The guy rocketed out. He finished his degree and then voluntarily signed up for Bud/S. That's the Navy SEAL selection process, where literally the toughest, most elite athletes in the military routinely wash out. But John, armed with this new extreme ownership mindset, survived the grueling physical and mental torture to earn his trident. Moving on to Section 3. Face your inner demons, the second mindset shift. Now, you would think that surviving SEAL training would make you practically invincible, right? But true mental toughness actually requires fighting the wars inside your own head, not just the ones on the battlefield. Following a terrifying solitary deployment in Peru where he was literally held hostage by terrorists, John returned home battling severe PTSD, anger, and trauma. He pushed his family away until therapy finally intervened. During that deployment, completely alone, unable to even speak the language, the extreme isolation and danger just fractured his mental health. When he transitioned back to civilian life, that trauma manifested as pure rage. He felt worthless, his mind felt completely broken, and he was isolating himself from everyone he loved. It really took a professional intervention for him to finally sit down and confront the things that were destroying him from the inside. And this brilliantly illustrates his second major mindset shift. See, hiding your deepest insecurities just allows them to hunt you. But dragging those demons out into the light, that strips them of all their power. It's just human nature to bury our trauma and ignore our darkest thoughts, because looking at them is painful. But John learned in therapy that demons can only survive in the dark. The second you speak your fears out loud to another person, or honestly, even just write them down on a piece of paper, they shrink. They completely lose their grip on you. Okay, Section 4, Beyond the Fear, the third mindset shift. You know, Will Smith famously talked about how the night before skydiving is absolutely terrifying, but the second you jump out of the plane, it becomes the most blissful, exhilarating experience of your whole life. Well, John discovered the exact same pattern. So ask yourself, what scares you the most right now? We naturally treat fear as a stop sign, right? Like a biological warning to turn around. But elite operators treat fear as a compass. If something terrifies you, like launching a business, asking for a promotion, or just speaking your truth, that is precisely the direction you need to run. The absolute best things in life are waiting for you right on the other side of your worst fears. Because John was historically terrified of public speaking and freezing on stage, he tackled it head on. He deliberately volunteered to speak on massive arena tours until the fear vanished. Earlier in his life, his mind had literally gone totally blank on stage, which left him with this deep-seated phobia. Just hearing the word speech made his body freeze up. So what did he do? He didn't avoid it. He threw himself straight into the fire. He volunteered to speak in front of thousands of people in massive arenas. He essentially used relentless action to completely obliterate his fear.
Section 5. Action over perfection, the fourth mindset shift.
This brings us to his final pivot, and honestly, this is probably the most practical takeaway for anyone trying to build something new today. We all have ideas, but execution is where most people completely fall apart. John realized that striving to be 100% prepared just leads to paralysis. True success comes from pulling the trigger when you're only 60 to 80% ready and figuring the rest out on the fly. When he first tried to be a content creator, he tried to copy trends, obsessing over the perfect lighting, the perfect script, the perfect edit, and it failed miserably. He realized that waiting for everything to be flawless is really just a disguise for fear. If you wait until you're fully ready, you're going to be waiting forever. So the crucial turning point is that he completely abandoned creating the perfect piece of content. Instead, he shot a raw, 60-second clip about a Soviet hiker mystery straight from a water park hotel room. He'd always been fascinated by the Dyatlov Pass incident. It's this bizarre real-life mystery from the 1950s where 9 experienced hikers died under unexplained circumstances. So while on a family vacation with 0 studio equipment, he just sat down in his hotel room and started telling the story into his phone. No fancy edits, no perfection, just action. And posted to an account with literally 0 followers. That single, imperfectly prepared clip just exploded overnight. It generated over 5 million views and launched his massive online empire. This perfectly validates his 80% rule. If he had waited until he had a fancy camera or a professional backdrop, that recording would never have existed. But by choosing to just put his incomplete, raw, authentic self out there, he accidentally unlocked his massive potential. All right, section 6. Take your first step, the call to action. You know, John's journey proves that it doesn't matter if you feel unqualified, unready, or just scared out of your mind. You just have to take that very first step. If you look back at his entire timeline, everything started with one micro-decision. Choosing to own his failure in the basement led to graduating college, which led to the Navy SEALs, which led to facing his trauma, which ultimately gave him the courage to hit record in a hotel room. So what is the one thing you're currently waiting to be perfect at before you start? Drop your answer in the comments below and take that 80% leap today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and help us build the hype. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.